Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined here today with Teddy, and we are back to review episode 3 of the Rings of Power, ADAR. Glad that was the title of the episode, because I was trying to catch that name, and my subtitles, I think my subtitles were Elvish.
Really?
It said English, and it was just, it was not English, so I don't know if they're trying to be cute, but...
Your subtitles quote the Elvish?
Yeah, basically.
Elfish? Right. I said Elvis.
They're just like, we need to find the ring. If you can help me, thank you very much. I appreciate the subtitles, especially when it's dialogue like this, where they have all these exotic names of places and people. It's a struggle to just remember it all. At least, Galadriel, I remember from the movies, so.
That's the easiest name out there right now.
Yeah, right.
I get so mad when they introduce another character.
We need like a Kevin and a Sam. And Game of Thrones will sprinkle those names in, right? But I thought this was a good episode. I continue to be so impressed by the scale of everything. Sailing into Numenor, that was breathtaking, for the characters and for us as well. I'm sure people will nitpick some of the CGI. It's not going to look picture perfect, but...
To the naked eye it is, unless you're looking for it, you can't really see it.
Right, yeah. I think, the heads carved into the mountains, the look of the city, that it's more advanced than some of the other places we've been to. And the history was interesting as well. But, we got some cool fight scenes with Arondir. That was probably my favorite part of the episode. Mm-hmm. The Harfoots making their migration, the stranger being exposed to the village. So, I thought this was an overall solid episode. And I was also a fan of the seafarer character, Elendil, and his children, Isildur and Eowyn, his 2 kids. I appreciated that relationship, and the backstory of Numenor. That was really fascinating. But what did you think about this episode, Ted?
It was a great episode, another great building episode again. Like you said, we got a nice fight scene in there, which that fight scene was good enough to let me know that there's going to be something nice coming up.
Right.
And
that's a
they'll
tease,
do it right.
Yeah, exactly. If that's a tease for what's to come. Yeah. I thought it was well crafted.
Seeing the elves, like the elves haven't been with each other for a while, and you just see the chemistry goes right back in. Like you can see how good they are and why they are where they are.
Right, yeah.
With their armies.
He gets taken prisoner, and they
reveal that in a day.
And we learned that the orcs are imprisoning people, enslaving them to build these tunnels, to hide from the light, to, just to get around more easily.
I mean, is no one seeing this trench going across Middle-earth? Like, what are we doing here?
Well, I guess they
Everyone's trying to find them, and what, you can't see this giant trench coming around?
I know, right? They're all trying to find these cryptic maps, and, it's not a sigil, it's a place.
They're walking under you right now.
Yeah, right now. It's just in broad daylight, literally, even though th're trying to hide from the daylight.
You can't stress this enough with the budget. It looks as advertised. Like those overhead shots when they're riding on the water, and there was one shot with the waves crashing in.
Right.
It's great scenery. Great. Where are they? Norway? Is that what you said last week?
New Zealand.
Norway. That was close.
Not America.
But we got the introduction to, well, we didn't get an introduction. We finally saw who our evil presence are going to be, and ADAR. And based on how this cast of actors and actresses are doing, I think I hope he's going to step up, because...
Well, didn't the hand remind you of Sauron? The armor at first, the first look we get when they focus in...
No, this episode, right?
Yeah, this episode.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's Sauron. I don't know who ADAR is. Is that just another name for him?
Maybe. Well, they mentioned the 2 elves when Arondir is talking to the elf that's also imprisoned, that Sauron used to go by many names.
Yeah.
And that at one point he was, he tricked the elves into doing his bidding. So maybe that's, where it's starting up again.
Because they said when Morgoth died, a successor took over, which was Sauron, right?
Right. But there have been a lot of theories. Some people thought Halbrand was maybe Sauron in human form, but it's revealed that he's this lost king. And that's another point that they established, that the Southlands are pretty chaotic. They're not united after what happened, some of the men following Morgoth and going to war with the elves. So I guess that's why the orcs have been able to kind of get away with this. They're exploiting a disparate kingdom.
Halbrand said that his family chose Morgoth, and that's why he's so ashamed.
Yeah, I guess, it's part shame. And it's interesting, it's interesting that he crosses paths with who used to be the enemy. And she kind of makes that point that, she doesn't call it destiny or fate, but it's to serve something bigger, And I think that's been one of the messages of this show so far, which is interesting with the fan reactions, that put aside your differences and come together to fight for something greater.
Well, that's what I was hoping they were going to do with the Numenor. But they just hate the elves. They're trying to bounce her as quick as possible.
Right. They don't get that warm reception. It's Queen Muriel who says, they have that back and forth, and that's something that you see all the time, right? It's Halbrand's trying to keep the peace here, but they can't let go of their past. Galadriel says this was a city that was given to you by the elves, so I've basically returned to, take a couple of ships because they're basically mine.
I'm pretty much here to take your army and go try and find Sauron again.
Yeah, but her father was ousted as king because he was more favorable towards the elves, and that made him unpopular. But she goes to visit him at the end, right, in the tower where they're keeping him, and she says the time has come. So maybe there was a communication between the two of them. I'm going to take a step back, but you still need to be wary about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna bite the bullet. You're going to step up, but it's going to happen.
We've been wondering how is this all going to come together. So it looks like we have some heroes here that are going to be heading to the Southlands because fucking names, man. I'm going to butcher this name, but Arondir, his name translates to friend of elves. So naturally, he is going to be the person who assists Galadriel, or he brings her to the Hall of Laws, and that's where she figures it out that she needs to help head to the Southlands.
So we're kind of getting our
fellowship.
Yeah.
Right. Putting together a team.
I kind of like this team so far. We got Arondir, Galadriel, and Halbrand.
Right.
I'll take that right now.
And if eventually they do cross paths with Nori and the Stranger, and I've read some theories about that too, that maybe he's not Gandalf because Gandalf didn't come until the Third Age, but there are different wizards. There's not just the gray wizards and the white wizards. There were blue wizards as well. And based on my reading, the blue wizards were sent to Middle-earth in the Second Age. So I don't hate that either if he's not our Gandalf, but he's a different version of that type of character, just a new wizard, right?
Yeah, and then maybe Gandalf communicates with the Stranger, and then that's where we get our bond with the hobbits.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right. He can...
Doesn't have to be going with the story.
Yeah, he goes back and reports, hey, the hobbits are cool.
Yeah.
They're not total assholes like these other groups.
I know, for real.
They're helpful. I did feel bad, though, for Nori's family. Gonna get fucking left behind.
Yo, they got no remorse, man. Yo, if you don't follow with the troop, you're done.
That got me emotional. When
they're stopping either.
They're memorializing all the people that they've lost. Oh, fell down a mudslide.
But Poppy lost a couple too, man.
Right, yeah, Poppy's family.
She's alone. I know she was alone.
Yeah, she's an orphan, right? Just pulling her own caravan. So she's falling back a bit too. Yeah. But, Nori and her family are
I'll take that
all the way at the back.
Nori, Poppy, and the Stranger.
That was also a nice moment. I love the way Lord of the Rings can do this. These very wholesome and sweet moments of people just helping each other.
Oh, yeah.
The Stranger is there, and he just says friend, and they're like, yeah, you know what? It's better than dying.
When you step back and think of the whole scale of the show, everything that's happening, and then you just cut to the hobbits, and they're just migrating, doing their own thing. Meanwhile, there's a bigger picture happening. It's always funny when you just look around, the hobbits have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, Aaron made this point on our first review that Lord of the Rings is so good at changing the tone. So it can be wholesome and whimsical and playful when you're with the Harfoots, and then you get a scene that ends the episode, like with Arondir, or even the moment with the water, when the orc offers them water and he just fucking slits that guy's throat. It's been bloody so far, this show.
I needed more skin flav on that.
You wanted more blood?
Yeah, I needed more. When I saw it, I was like, all right, he's trying to send a message. And he goes down and dies. You barely cut him. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it was
and he missed the jugular. He hit the side of the neck.
Yeah, you can survive that. Come on.
I mean, come on. Put a little pressure on it. Keep it moving.
Maybe the elf anatomy's a little different. He just knows the weak
sweet
points.
Spots? Right?
Yeah. Well, we made this point on our last review as well. The orcs, man. I think they look great. They're terrifying.
Scary, bro.
Just
those masks. Oh, my God.
Yeah. All throughout the live-action adaptations, the orcs have always been good.
But you know that scene when they were doing the celebration before the migration?
Yeah.
When, it was a slow-motion shot in the woods? I thought those were orcs and, scary characters. I was like, oh, this is getting eerie.
That was scary, too, man,
And then it was just them dancing and celebrating. I'm like, wow, that was a change of pace there.
They're wearing those fucked-up masks at sunset. That threw me off at first, too, but then these are just the Harfoots. They're having a good time.
I think the next episode, the show's going to turn for the better, though, because, there's that phrase that gets beaten down, and the show is only as good as its enemies or its villains, and we're gonna get ADAR finally, and I think this show's gonna start trending upwards.
Yeah, the way they set him up there.
It's been going upwards, but I think this is gonna maybe this next episode is gonna propel this show.
Yeah, because it does still feel like setup. You have to establish Elendil, his kids, Isildur, that he doesn't want to continue with his life as a sailor, or at least he wants to put it on hold. So they have to establish that character, and they need to establish the relationship between Galadriel and the allies she is going to find in Numenor to send her to the Southlands. So I agree with you. I think by next episode, it's really going to pick up as the so-called quest begins.
Well, the more I think about it, this show needs to do a lot of building.
Right.
It can't come out. Like Game of Thrones has the medieval times aspect, so you can kind of action-pack that show with a bunch of stuff and catch people. This show, you got to establish a whole new universe for the most part. So there is going to be some building. And they're doing a great job with these first 3 episodes of building. Every time they explain something, it's like, I get it. They're doing a great job explaining their universe.
Right. There have been some things that I haven't been able to pick up on, but I think I would agree with that. It has been
every time they go back and explain things, it's like, all right, now that makes sense.
Right, yeah, I think it's been easy enough to follow.
Yeah.
And even details that bring it all together, like when she sees the painting of Elrond and his brother, and she remarks, I was always more close to the brother. But it's starting to tie things together here. It's starting to make a bit more sense. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that there's this part of Numenor that is more favorable to the elves, that they never lost sight of the relationship that they once had with the elves, the friendship, the allyship, the way that they would trade secrets and help each other's cultures build and develop. And they even mentioned the tree. So there's a tree in the Dwarven Kingdom. There's the white tree in Numenor, and it does symbolize the presence of the elves and what the elves have done for them.
Am I missing something? I still don't understand what the elves did. They get this hated on by everybody.
I think it's more so just the devastation of the war, and that the elves really made an effort to quell this problem and then make sure that it never props up again.
What do you want the elves to do, though? I mean, a war's got to get fought, no? I mean, what the hell are we doing?
It's cool the way that the story's positioned itself is in the aftermath of all of that.
Personally, they're making the elves seem to me like they're the victim. Yeah, right. I feel like they're the victim here.
I think sometimes things get lost to history, right?
Yeah.
So it's because nobody was really there, even though Galadriel was kind of there because she's been alive forever. It just becomes too messy to make sense of it, and everyone becomes just wary of each other. You don't
get the whole backstory. It's like, all right, you started the war, and this is all your fault.
And I guess it's all heading towards the continent becoming more united. I mean, even in the original Lord of the Rings, there's still some things they need to work out.
I haven't nitpicked the episode, by the way.
Okay.
No dwarves.
No dwarves, I know.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean...
I need dwarves every episode.
The dwarves were so delightful in those first 2.
I need to know what's going on with I need to know what's going on with Dorne and Elrond right now. I want to know if they got that, if they're getting that wall, that big tower built.
Right, yeah, if they're going to be working on that tower, I wonder if they end up in the Southlands as well, because I want to see them on the field, right?
I mean, are you kidding? Absolutely.
I mean, I always loved watching Gimli fight, and he was a good fighter. Let's not act like the dwarves can't hold their own. They fucking scrap.
Is Gimli, he's not alive right now, right?
No, he's not alive.
All right.
Yeah, no. I wish he was.
Oh, the scene on the boat with the candidates?
Yeah.
That was a great scene.
That was a great
Intensifying.
Scene, man.
They like you said earlier, they do a great job of switching tones. Like, just the way you felt like you were there on that boat. Like, the way, like, my adrenaline started going, and it's like, oh, shit.
Right, they're all working the sails,
yeah.
They're
nervous.
Right, and the commentary about their relationship with the sea, that the sea is always right, and that it's a difficult master to please. It's sort of unforgiving. Yeah, that was good setup for that character, the introduction to Isildur, whose name probably rings a bell for Lord of the Rings fans. I guess don't Google it if you haven't watched Fellowship in a while, but... sure, some people have an idea of where this character is headed. But I watched that scene and thought, man, that's a manly job, right? Just tying the ropes and manning the sails and shit.
You gotta be on the spot. You gotta be Johnny on the spot every day. Not every day, maybe storms. That was a pretty rough sea. But
that stood out to me, too, the shot of all of them on the beach.
Yeah.
That's where you see the scale. And they established that Isildur is a character who's longing for something more. He's looking off into the distance, and he doesn't repeat the words with the rest of the crew. So nice little character stuff there. But just, the overall look of the series has just been phenomenal. There's a great attention to detail of how the show is being shot. There's not a lot of poor compositions when it comes to some of these still frames that you can take from the series.
I watched it on my TV this time.
Oh, look at that. You upgraded from iPhone to laptop.
And then now
to TV.
I was like, wow.
Maybe they'll put episode 4 in the theaters, right? You go watch it.
I'd go.
All of a sudden, you're in Cowboy Stadium.
Watch on the Jumbotron.
How the hell did you pull that off? But, you also have the scene with Halbrand when he gets into it with the locals, when he's trying to steal the pin that's going to get him a job.
I always love those shots, like when they're stealing something, when they make it so obvious. Like, we know they're going to get caught.
Like when he hugs...
yeah, it's like, you knew what he was doing, but like they didn't show it, and he didn't get caught. And now this one, he does it so openly, he gets caught. I thought he was doing that on purpose to get caught. But he didn't actually want to get caught. But no, that was actually a real confrontation. And
he
beat their asses.
He goes, you don't make me do this, or you don't want to do this, and he just loses it. So he's got these rage issues.
I was waiting for like a nice choreographed little fight, and he just went brutal with it. Are you kidding? Did you see the blood hit the screen?
Yeah.
That was on purpose, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say.
I mean, he slammed that one guy's head.
There's no way that got past it.
Breaks the one guy's fucking forearms, slams the other guy in the wall. Maybe he is Sauron. That's why for a Lord of the Rings series, I mean, Lord of the Rings was always violent.
Yeah.
But I think it's different when you actually see blood.
But that's where Game of Thrones is. Violent,
I wonder
gory,
if they're doing that because of Game of Thrones. I wonder if because of the popularity of Game of Thrones over the last decade.
Sells. You telling me a big fight like that, you see like people getting their heads cut off? Like you don't want to tune in to see that? It sells, man. I mean,
well, I think that's why the Orcs are always so fun, because that's when you get into that sort of territory. But at the end of the day, it's a high fantasy series, and I think they've done a good job establishing all those aspects of what makes a good high fantasy series. And then you get a moment, like I said, with Halbrand, where it's a smaller moment. He's trying to get on the good side of the locals. I don't know, that character, I'm keeping an eye on him, not in terms of I don't trust him or I think there's more than meets the eye, but I don't know if he's a great actor. And he seems like he's an important character, but he's been a little stiff, especially when he's opposite Galadriel, who I think has been very charismatic, a great lead. But we'll see.
Who was the character in Lord of the Rings that he actually looks just like Halbrand? Aragorn?
Yeah, Aragorn. Yeah, the king?
Yeah. He reminds me just like Aragorn.
Yes, I've seen some people make that comparison. And it's similar, right? Aragorn was the king who never was. He's out in hiding, just acting as a normal dude. And then by the end of the series... It's kind of the same
exact act.
Yeah, no, it's the same exact sort of arc here. And I mean, it's tough to step in those types of shoes. It's not the same character, obviously, but it is very, very similar. So...
he's had his chances too, though. You know, he had a bunch of scenes, but it was just them two, and he was kind of just given one-liners. So we haven't really had a chance to see him get a nice, like, monologue in or something, you know?
Right. There haven't been so many scenes where it's like, man, you really have to act your ass off here. Yeah. It's been basic stuff. But I think, I don't know, I haven't been necessarily drawn to his performance. But like I said, I'm still interested to see where that character ends up going.
So an early candidate for my favorite character so far is Arondir. He's killing it right now.
Yeah, the elf?
Yeah.
Right.
I love him.
He was, he's a quiet presence, but he is a presence.
He's a quiet, but you feel him.
Yes,
he's strong,
exactly. He's definitely got both feet on the ground of this world. And I think characters like that really matter with the believability. You're convinced that this is an elven soldier who's been imprisoned and he's desperate to escape. And like I said, the way that scene was constructed when they pull all their chains together and they're just hacking at them. The werewolf dog thing, what the fuck was that? Little goofy, like the CGI there was a little goofy, but it's a creature.
Yeah.
And I think it was scary enough.
I think you could have made it a little scarier, though.
You could have made it a little scarier.
A little bigger.
But he was gnawing at them too, man. Ripping out guts.
That one elf came out with the spear and just like ran into him. She didn't even try to hit him.
Yo, it was a great move though when Arondir jumped
and off the chains.
Yeah, when he broke down the roof,
dude.
That was awesome. I felt so bad for the one elf who escaped at the beginning and got the axe to the back.
Yeah.
And then the other elf.
I felt bad for the other one that got out. I didn't see that coming though.
Oh, I was a little shocked.
I thought they were both getting out.
Yeah. Because he just stops moving and you don't see the arrow. You're like, well, what happened? Did my TV stop?
When I saw that, I kind of thought maybe he realized something. Like there was no getting away. And then he turned around and there wasn't getting away.
Yeah, I thought maybe there was going to be like a fucking dragon or something. Like some sort of bigger creature.
I'm just waiting for someone to say, dude, like, where the hell are we? It's like everyone knows where they are at all times. It's like if one of them ran up, like they knew where to go from there.
I know.
So
yeah,
are you kidding?
Exactly.
Give me a break. You could run into the woods and just go home. Well, I guess they can use the stars. They know what they're doing, right?
Well, the orcs, man, they're fucking assholes. Chop down that big ass tree. You see the size of these roots?
We just tunnel around the guy. What are we doing? Yo, they love the trees too. I feel bad for the trees.
I know, right? And they do symbolize the history, like the elf says. The tree was here before
that was a great line.
Before you, before wherever you crawled out of, and
it earned its place on the earth.
Right now, that character, he tries to escape, he fails. So I guess it's about persevering. And he's going to become, he's coming up close and personal with the character Adar, who apparently, based on some reading I did, it's the elven word for father.
Okay.
So that's interesting. There was a reoccurring theme throughout the episode of fatherhood.
Is there an actor for Adar right now or no? Do we know?
I don't know. It didn't say so on when I pause it on Amazon.
Bro, I thought I was slick today. I thought maybe like they were going to let it go past, and I was going to click up and see the stranger's name. Right. It still said the stranger, though.
No, it still says the stranger, right, yeah. I thought that was a clever scene as well when they're trying to steal the paper.
Yeah, that was
from
funny.
the Harfoot. Poppy is funny. You made that point on the last review.
She's
I like
not
Poppy.
bad, man. She's not bad.
She's a good supporting hobbit.
She seems like the character that would get annoying, but she hasn't got on my nerves yet.
No, she's the worrywart.
Yeah.
She's the one always trying to. It's a nice balance between her and Nori. Nori kind of just goes into things head first. But I like that character of Nori. I think the Harfoots have been good stand-ins for the hobbits. They've been cute. And that's another character where it's, the stranger, they've set him up where you just reading some stuff. I don't know if he's a good guy. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. Because he speaks to the fireflies and Poppy says
they die.
They fucking die. Gandalf used to speak to bugs and they'd thrive.
Oh, no.
Come on, man.
He's got to figure it out. he's a loose cannon right now. Yeah, he's a loose cannon.
I mean, I still think it would be fun to be Gandalf, but if it's somebody else, I think that could be.
But
cool
it still seems like he has no idea where he is or what's going on. I can't wait for him to get his wits about him, and then we actually get into his character.
Yeah, and I've also read that it's not so much a by-the-book adaptation of the Silmarillion, so that there are new characters that they've added. They may be taking some liberties with stuff, but for me, it matters if the show is good. So they could take all the liberties they want, and Tolkien fans may be upset with that, but as somebody who hasn't read that book, I just want to see a good show.
Yeah.
So if that involves... and that could be a bad thing, shoehorning in a legacy character if it ends up damaging that character's legacy. But we'll see.
They're doing a good job of every scene. You feel what's at stake every scene. Like I said earlier, you felt what was at stake on the boat scene. You just felt nervous the entire time. You felt you felt emotional when Nori and her family were going to get left behind. You knew there was something at risk with the orc scene and the fight. You knew that there could be loss. They're doing a great job of making every scene believable.
Yeah, and even when she's in the Hall of Laws, it feels like real history.
Right.
It's a real place where they're keeping these important records.
100%.
I made the comment about Arondir that he feels grounded, but the whole world to me does feel grounded. I think the production value really helps that, where you're just convinced that this is a high fantasy world. But I think the way people talk, the names, the settings, the storylines so far, it all does fit together nicely, where nothing's taking you really out of it, where it's like, oh, this isn't real. No. These characters are talking gibberish. No, I'm bought in.
Guys like us, I'm definitely sold, and I'm loving this show so far, and I can't wait for next episode. I still think maybe they haven't hit that big punch yet with the casual crowd, but I think they will. This is a great building episode. They're doing a great job. It's just, I hope they keep going. I don't know. I'm in for it, though.
It's like, how do you sell sports? You sell the highlights. Exactly. I don't think that they've had their viral highlight yet, that people are going to be, man, you have to tune in and see this scene. And that sometimes, that matters. It's those key scenes that can make a great show.
It gets Twitter talking, man. That's all social media is. You have a great scene like that, then once Twitter blows up, that's it.
I think people
are tuning in.
They want the scene at the end to be that moment. It's a good cliffhanger because you're like, man, who the fuck is this guy? What the hell else are they planning here?
Yeah, but if you're not watching and you don't know who that is, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares about who that guy is?
I don't know. Maybe episode 4 will be the one where it just sets the internet on fire.
Right.
There's something that you can't miss. I mean, I've enjoyed the show. We've both enjoyed the show, so I guess technically it's all can't miss. But for the casual fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're the guy to ask. Game of Thrones 1, 2, and 3. How exciting were they?
Season 1?
Yeah.
Season 1 often gets criticized for being slow, but you have the end of episode 1, Jaime pushes Bran out of the window. So that sets the stage for the rest of the season, right?
Anything could happen.
Exactly, right, yeah. Who's going to find out? Who's keeping this secret? Who's going to get in trouble for it? Like I said, it just gets the ball rolling. And I think Sauron has kind of been that character for... that's what you're selling, is that this is Sauron thousands of years before we saw him in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. But I think you should have opened with him.
But so many people
I think you should have brought him in early.
So many people don't know what even Sauron is,
Right.
Like I've
That's
said
why you
this
should have
before.
brought him in early, man. You should have built him from the front.
More people know Gollum.
Yeah, for real.
They're like, where the hell is Gollum?
Is that what they're saying on Twitter, or are you just saying that?
No, just no. I've seen people make that joke where it's like Gollum will not be in the Rings of Power.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that seems to be a meme on the internet. But when you talk villains for Lord of the Rings, he's the most recognizable character. My Precious is still so iconic. Everybody does the stupid fucking voice.
I'm fighting not to do it right now.
But I like the idea of Sauron possibly being multiple people within the story, that he is taking on these different personalities, and they're all fighting their own villains, and then it turns out to just be Sauron.
I hope it's
surprise, motherfucker.
I hope it's not like Sauron's not a word. It's like what they did with Asgard. Asgard's not a place. It's the people.
Oh, yeah. No.
I hope they don't do that with him.
I think we'll get Sauron in the flesh.
Yeah.
A face-to-face, mano-a-mano with somebody. Hopefully.
The show embodies the phrase I said earlier. The show is going to be as good as its villain. I think Sauron's going to take the show to the next level if he is good enough. And the show needs Sauron to be good enough.
You know what else I appreciated when, they tell Galadriel she's not a prisoner, but she's basically a prisoner. And she immediately escapes, her hopping over the rooftops. I think some of the glances, some of the looks she gives to the cameras is sort of like, she's a cheeky main hero, and I've appreciated that about her.
I think we haven't seen the best of her yet.
No, we haven't. But it's been very easy to latch onto her. And I think for some fans who are frustrated by her being a warrior, her being a bit overpowered, I mean, she's been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years, bro. It's not like it's not like she's new to this.
She's seasoned, man. Come on.
Yeah, and I think that the actress has done a really good job of portraying the years within her performance.
And you don't expect that with her character. You wouldn't expect her having to go through trials to get better. You would think you hear her name, what she stands for, how long she's been doing this. You expect her to be this good. I mean, her acting is also, she's being great this whole episode.
I mean, isn't she, right? She just sort of fits the world so perfectly.
The way she talks, like, she's just like,
right, yeah.
It's like, you would think she's from that time.
Definitely, yeah. The voice.
I feel like they know, though, because I was waiting for, when they panned on her when she was walking through the town, like, they were all, like, staring at her like they hated her. When they panned to her ears were covered. It was like, I guess that they kind of just knew by her face that she was an elf or who she was.
Yeah, I was wondering if she was doing that on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Trying to keep the eyes off of you, hide the ears a bit. But
yeah, but they knew anyway, I guess.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does Numenor know who Galadriel is?
I feel
you think anyone in town knew who she was?
I feel like yes. I think when she says her name, there's like a ooh in the court, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That sort of reaction.
So she's a folklore, and she's here. Is that what's happening right now? She's a folklore, and she's here now? Maybe that's why she went up to her dad and said it's happening?
Right, well, she 100% knows. I don't know if it's Galadriel specifically.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're in on some sort of prophecy that eventually the elves will return, and that will also signal the return of Sauron. Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
And it could be one of those things, we saw it in Lord of the Rings as well, that, kings don't want to admit danger is at your front door.
Well, that's why they sent off fucking Galadriel. And she's back now.
Yeah, I know, exactly right.
That's exactly why they sent her off.
You have problems between men and the elves, but they do share one thing in common. They don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, he was getting tired of her, like, starting shit up.
Yeah.
So he wanted to send her off, but it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, all these people in power, sometimes that happens, right? They enjoy their wine and their entertainment while problems are brewing that they just ignore. So it's the fighters that have to go out there and fucking prove it.
You can't handle the truth.
That's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
But, Halbrand tells Galadriel, just come in calm, make your points. Don't be too combative. She's like, we built this kingdom. Give me a boat.
She went in so hard. I was like, I thought maybe she'd take a step back and she'd do what's best to get out. But she stood 10 toes down. And
she doesn't have the diplomatic skills of Elrond. No. Elrond was able to get into the Dwarven kingdom, have a nice dinner, probably left with a few perks, new car. Galadriel's like, I need someone to smuggle me out of here on their ship.
And if you don't, I'm taking it. So,
but overall, a good episode. And it's an episode that we will talk about more on our spoiler discussion. Going to do some reading, maybe pick up on some things that we have
this
missed.
Is just a fresh take. Just watched it.
We literally just watched it 20 minutes ago. Amazon didn't do us any favors with those screeners. So.
You couldn't give us anything. Come on.
Not a fucking second of footage. So get to hear all our fresh and dumb thoughts. So you're welcome.
Then, a couple days we'll come back.
Yeah, we come back. We're fucking Tolkien scholars. Got English accents.
We butchered everything about this show.
Oh, well, now I'm going to put in the already animated outro that features Aaron. So maybe I'll just Photoshop your head on Aaron.
That's messed up.
Okay. Sorry. Alright guys, that does it for this video. Thank you for joining us for this review. For Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey, I am Beau Oliver. Before we sign off, I want to quickly spotlight our weekly podcast, the Nerd Soup Podcast, published every Wednesday at noon. Every week you could join myself, Aaron, Teddy, and the rest of the Nerd Soup crew as we discuss the hottest stories in movies and TV, equipped with some off-the-cuff commentary on the world of pop culture, while also providing extended reviews for the movies and shows we love. You can subscribe to our podcast channel on YouTube at the Nerd Soup Podcast, which can also be found on our Nerd Soup homepage, and you can listen to episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and all of the podcasting platforms we publish to. Thank you again for joining us on this review, and we will be back next week to review The Rings of Power Episode 4.
Damn, we were making some good points in that video. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Suit Monkey here. Before we end this video, I want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. What can I say about you guys that I haven't already said about myself? You are the most important part of the channel and the main reason we keep going strong. Like Beau says, you keep the lights on in the fridge so the fridge is full. Or something like that. So, from everyone here at Nerd Soup, I'd like to thank you guys for your continued support. If you're interested in joining the ranks of our patron supporters, head over to patreon.com/nerdsoup and check out the rewards we offer to our patrons. We recently dropped some new stickers for you guys to check out, or you could choose a tier that will allow you to select a movie, show, or video game for us to review. We've got a full slate of fan-suggested reviews coming your way, and we're really excited about the chance to review some of those movies and shows. We've also got t-shirts, mugs, behind-the-scenes videos showing how we bring our videos to life. And once again, thank you to all our Patreon pledgers who have been supporting us throughout the years. Without you, we wouldn't be able to convert all your pledges into cryptocurrency, so thank you from my future self for making us broke.